Hello, welcome back to Steak and Sanity. My name is David, and this channel is about my carnivore diet journey. Today's about day 50, something like that, I would say. And I have three things I want to talk about today. Number one is the hair test that I brought up earlier in January when I had my chat with Susie. I want to talk about not having enough water, and I wanted to talk about maybe going back on lion diet. So first of all, hair test. So I'm going to cut in a video now of Susie. So this is Susie, who I had on the podcast the other day. Susie and I actually were able to meet up at a networking event. And so she essentially pinned me down and said, I'm going to go ahead and do the hair sample now. I'd been holding off. As you can see, I have massively long hair, and I'd been holding off until I got an actual haircut, but I have one. Anyway, long story. Suffice to say, we had a good time. It was a bit of fun. She cut a load of my hair off, and we've now submitted that and sent that off for testing. So hopefully, it's now the 23rd of February. So I think it takes about 2 weeks to come back. So kind of early March, we should have the results. And once Susie gets the results, then I'll have her back on and we'll have another conversation so we can loop around on that and talk a little bit more about the metabolic typing. So that should be an interesting discussion. So anyway, just wanted to let you know and give you a bit of an update because I mentioned that ages ago and then it's just kind of gone off into the ether and nothing seemed to have happened. So that is now happening. And so we'll see what happens with that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is water consumption. And I think what's been really interesting, when I was doing lion diet and sort of the first week of carnivore back in February, I was drinking probably 3 or 4 times as much water as I am now. And I find that really interesting that when I started picking up teas and coffees and stuff like that again, the milk has crept back in. But what that's done is it's pushed out the water. I still drink water when I'm at the gym, but I don't sit and just constantly drink it all day like I was when I was doing lion diet. So I think I want to go back to that. I definitely think that I need to drink more water. I'm certainly not drinking enough. And so what's interesting is I'm getting some itchy skin and some, like the cuticles of my nails are really, really dry and they're starting to crack. I don't think I'll be able to show you, but anyway, that tends to happen, I think, when I don't have enough water and I'm not well enough hydrated. And particularly because I'm having electrolytes every day and I'm having the creatine every day, I absolutely should be drinking more water. So look for that. I've come off of drinking all the milk again, and I've gone back to black tea and coffee. I'm going to come off those as well. I also think there's 1 week left of sort of February and carnivore. I'm really considering going back on lion diet again or very, very strict carnivore. Just because I actually find that I feel better. It's a right pain in the ass to do, to be honest. And I know I've talked about this before, and I'm not really organized enough personally to make sure that I have particularly things at lunches and stuff like that. But I find it pretty easy to do in the evenings. But yeah, I'm actually thinking it's also easy, even though on one hand it's more difficult, it's also easier, which is part of the reason why I wanted to try it in the beginning. It is boring, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get around that. And maybe, going on a very strict carnivore, some sort of almost like a mix of the two might do me better. I think I do like having the eggs. So I might go beef, beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. So I might try going on something a little bit more like that and just cranking up water just to see what happens. So maybe I'll try that in March. I am still doing the weight training in that couple of days. It's good. I'm starting to get a little bit of strength, which has been nice. What's also been really interesting with the weight training, just on that, is certainly in the past when I've done a lot of training the muscles themselves would be sore from the workout. But I wouldn't really have too much sort of ligament and tendon soreness. And that's what I'm getting now. So really, most of the pain and the discomfort and the stuff after I have a workout, more like the ligaments and tendons and all that connective tissue. And maybe that's partly age, maybe it's, I don't know what, but it's been really interesting because it's a different type of soreness. And what it also means is it takes a lot longer for it to heal. And so again, maybe going back on Lion Diet will help accelerate that a little bit. So I'm going to play around with that in March. I have a couple of big things this week, which sort of make me feel like it's maybe not the best week to start back on Lion Diet. But yeah, we'll see. And I guess the last update is something that I've talked about a little bit in the past, but obviously, I've talked about my wife going on carnivore. She's not really doing carnivore. I think she's doing more of a keto diet because she does have some avocados occasionally, and she will have a piece of fruit occasionally. But the rest of the time, she's cut out 99.9% of ultra-processed foods or processed foods. So anything that she does eat, she makes herself, which is a great step forward. And I think that's helping a lot. But what we have noticed is she does feel much less anxious. She doesn't struggle as much. She wasn't depressed before, but that kind of the feeling, the sort of depressive feelings, that sort of thing, she's found better. Also, she seemed to have a better time during her period, which is also really interesting. Again, I don't know if she's within herself. I don't know if she's crediting diet specifically for that, because there's been some other changes, becoming more comfortable at work, had less work. So a lot of the layers of stress building up aren't there. So we don't know if it's particularly the diet or not, but I suspect that the diet has is a major contributor to that. And I guess the biggest thing is when we get to the end of the month, at the end of this week, does she want to continue eating in this way, or does she want to go back? And I suspect, based on conversations we've had in the last few days, that actually she wants to continue and she wants to keep doing the diet. And we think we might start doing it more as a household for our son, although I think in his teens, he probably needs to eat a full diet of everything. But as long as it's not the ultra processed foods, then I think that's fine. So if we're making things like the cakes and, if he wants to have cakes and he wants to have some sweets and stuff like that, I think if we're making that ourselves and he's eating that, then at least we know what's in it, as opposed to buying just a bunch of shit from the grocery store. So don't know where we'll get with that. But anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much the update for today. It's Sunday, getting ready to get tucked back into another week. Everybody's been well. I'll have more updates this week, so I'll do one in the middle of the week, and then I'll do one next weekend. And I'll make a decision about what I want to do for March. But I do think probably I'll go much more strict carnivore again, just because I like the way I feel, and I think it's easier for me mentally to do. I think I tend to want to cheat more, and I have little stuff like milk. I really, really need to get rid of the milk, and I really need to stop eating peanuts. So maybe that can just be my goal for March, is don't eat any peanuts, don't have any milk or cheese. And if I could go through the month and do that, then maybe that's a goal. On training, I definitely want to continue weight training, but I think I'm going to start to mix some cardio back in. So I might do an every other day kind of thing. I don't want to do weights and cardio on the same day. So I may do weight training one day, cardio the next, and then weights and then cardio. And if I can get into that rhythm, then that might be a good rhythm to have as well. So maybe I'll try that for March and see how I get on. But I'm absolutely 100% enjoying the weight training. And I think particularly for someone in their mid-50s, it's absolutely crucial to continue doing the weight training, or to start doing the weight training again, and then now continue that just to build up the strength. So Anyway, that's it for today, and I will see everybody later. Bye-bye.